Hey everyone, welcome to the session Mobile Application Testing. So let's get started. When you say mobile testing, it involves two different sections. One is mobile device testing and mobile application testing. When you're testing any device which has an app or which has some interaction with a human, that is known as mobile device testing. It may include IoT devices, handheld devices, medical devices, or even the infotainment systems or even the laptops, tablets, all these things are considered as mobile device testing. If you're testing anything on the device which has the interaction between the hardware and the software, the for example, verifying the OS of the mobile device, that is known as mobile device testing. There we have an involvement between the hardware and the software. So this kind of testing is known as mobile device testing. When you talk about the mobile application testing, right? So this is specific to the applications on the mobile phone. It may be mobile phone, it may be any of your application which you use to control any devices. That is also known as an integration of testing between mobile application and mobile device. So for example, if you have an infotainment system in your cars, which has a mobile app. You can even control your car from your mobile app. So that kind of testing is there is a device involvement and also there is an application involvement. So your application should be stable on the mobile device and your even the commands from the application should reach the actual device. That is the integration which we verify from mobile device to mobile applications. So in any of the mobile testing world, if there is a device involvement, the application and device testing both goes hand in hand. It may be any medical devices, any of the handheld devices, or it may be any IoT devices. For example, if you're using any uh, air quality index applications on your phones, so that may have a specific application, specific device which finds out the air quality. For example, you might use any of the vendors, the air quality vendors, air quality device makers. So they will have their own specific applications wherein they connect with the live data of the device and get your data for the air quality on your phones or even your smartwatch. Your smartwatch is directly connected to your mobile devices. How is that? Through a Bluetooth. So data interaction between your smartphone and your smartwatches, it should be smooth. These kind of testing is again involvement of mobile device and mobile application. So when you're talking only about the mobile application testing, there are multiple testing techniques which involves in mobile application testing. One is the design testing. You need to verify the design, whatever the design was specified at the time of development, is it the same? That kind of validation is known as the design testing. And next one is accessibility testing. In accessibility testing, we have different certifications of accessibility testing. For at least we need to understand the basic accessibility is working fine. We have an inbuilt talkback feature or an accessibility feature on our phones, wherein we need to enable the accessibility and then verify whether whatever the things present on the screen are read out correctly. That is a talkback feature on Android and accessibility feature on your iOS device. If you launch any application, the application name should be correctly read out and the data inside the application should be correctly read out. All these things are some of the basic accessibility things which you need to make sure before even launching your applications or before even certifying your applications as working fine. Okay, and the other one is the dynamic font testing. What is dynamic font testing? You need to understand some of the users might not be able to use the same font on the mobile devices as you are using. They might be using a different font size, they might be using different font styles. All these things varies from user to user. So there is a set of maximum and then minimum dynamic font which is given in all the devices. So when it is maximum, there should be nothing breaking in the text. So you should verify whatever the text you see on the application, even if the font size is changed, it should remain the same and there should be no lag in application access or there should be no data miss in the application. So all these things are done under dynamic font testing. And apart from that, we also have the basic, all the other testing techniques which we follow for mobile application testing. One is the functional testing, end-to-end testing, automation testing, basic security testing, basic performance testing, browser compatibility if it is a mobile web application, and we also consider the coverage on different devices, different OS, different screen resolutions, different device, different OS, different screen resolutions. All these things are called a device metrics. A client will be giving a different device metrics wherein you need to follow separate device metrics for each and every applications. It depends on the user which you are targeting. So the main thing to consider while considering a device metrics is the user base. If you're reaching users who is using smartphones, it will be a different OS which you are using, or different screen resolutions, or different type of OS versions. If you're if you're targeting one application for a specific country, that again has a different device metrics. So you need to be sure of what is the user base when you're covering for mobile applications. And when you're talking about the performance testing, so we have inbuilt tools in Android Studio or Xcode for mobile applications or any app which you develop on Android platform or on a Mac. So we have inbuilt performance testing in Xcode on Android Studio. We need to perform that to understand what is the response time and what is the delay happening in the application, and what is the type of logs which is running. Is the developer enabled? Has the developer enabled all the logs which is not required? That is also one kind of performance testing. And when it comes to logs, again, if we say security testing, all the logs should not be enabled. So that is how you verify performance and security together. So these are like the basic things inside Android Studio and Xcode which you can get to identify security and performance. And automation, you can create your own framework. There are many free source tools available, there are many paid tools available. You can use any tools for doing the automation testing. And when you're doing automation also, you should consider the API testing, API integration with your automation framework, and your UI validation along with your framework, your database along with your framework. You should be having i- i- it should be easily integratable with any of the API, UI validation, or if there is a client requirement of a different reporting type, all the reportings should be included. Whichever report the client wants, we should be able to switch that report easily. And apart from that, we also should be having a place where we can integrate performance of any other third-party tools like JMeter. All these JMeter scripts, which we get it in XML format, we should be building a framework in such a way that all these XML files can also be integrated in our framework, or a any security tool. You can build the tool, you can get the files from the tools and actions which are performing, tests which are performing. You can generate that file and integrate it to your automation suite, or automation framework, so that every time you run the automation, that is also taken care. So your framework should be supporting all these features. It is not just the functional feature which it should be supporting. Your framework should be a combination of API testing, UI validation, database validation, performance, security. All these five things, if your framework is having, that is when you add the value to the company or value to any of the framework or any of the testing technique which you're performing. I hope this is helpful. Thank you so much for your time.